Good morning. I'm just waking up for my orientation, so I would call this the very first day of respiratory school, even though technically classes don't start for like another week or two. Check this out. It is somewhat sunny and pouring down rain, which for my area is extremely rare to be pouring down rain in the summer. It's pretty cool. I was planning to scooter to school, at least partially. I don't think I'll be scootering in this weather. Hopefully it clears up some by the time I am ready to go. Today was orientation. It was a lot. I want to give the heads up to anyone who happens to be attending the Spokane Community College respiratory care program. Orientation is mandatory, like very, very 100% mandatory. Like you absolutely have to make it. But it happens, before the first day of class. And here's all the stuff you have to complete ahead of time. And it's a lot of things. It's vaccines. It's there's like these 10 learning modules that we had to do. And they actually explained today, like, hey, we used to do this during school and it was just too much. So now we have you do it all ahead of time, which the benefit to that is that you're not trying to do school and sign up for like multiple online things like clinical onboarding for multiple different websites and multiple different locations all at once. This way you're not doing it all and school at the same time, which is definitely a benefit. The only drawback to that I encountered was that people would be like, yeah, so when you starting classes? And I'm like, well, my classes haven't started yet, but I am spending a lot of time doing a lot of things that are necessary before my classes start. Drug testing was another thing. The TB testing, background checks. And these cost money, which, by the way, this was before my financial aid came in. My financial aid still has not come in yet. In fact, books were a lot more than I anticipated. I think it was 11 different books. At one point I put them all in my cart brand new just to see what it would cost, and it was like $2,000 just for books. But they told us today during orientation that most of that is for like the entire year. Some of them are even used for like 2 years. So there's a lot of quarters where you won't be getting any books at all. So that was very helpful to know. I kind of wish I had known that ahead of time. But this all is me needing to take care of this before financial aid kicks in for me, which has made finances very tricky. So just a heads up, it's kind of a lot. So you do have to buy your own scrubs. It's very specific scrubs that they want you to get. You can't just get any scrubs. It's they have you fitted for the scrubs, and then those scrubs get embroidered with the Spokane Community College respiratory student. It was something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it was like something like that, like embroidered on it. So you are buying your own scrubs, but it is specific scrubs that they are providing that you purchase and that are yours. They cost like $60 each. So they were like, well, you can maybe kind of sort of get away with one pair of scrubs until I forget when they said it was, like until a certain quarter. And then you probably need 2 pairs. And I'm just thinking, with the way my life is, like, I'm not going to be reliable enough to put one pair of scrubs in the wash, like, between labs and everything. My family's laundry, like, I have 2 small kids. And one of them is syringe feeding right now, and it's just, it just ain't gonna happen. Laundry is chaos in my house right now. So, yeah, and then, like, okay, so I'm just putting this out there for anyone who's, like, interested in doing, especially this program, like, at this college. Other people at other colleges might find this interesting, too. But, I was signed up for classes like automatically, but there were some classes that had some options about times, and I didn't know about that. So I found out about that today at orientation, and I'm working on trying to get that switched so that one day of the week I don't have a really early morning. So just ask if that's important to you. There might be some options there. Okay. orientation for this specific program includes a CPR class. So being a CPR, like a certificate in like CPRs, and like I am trained now to do CPR. And that's important because I think it's like a certain period of time from now, I think it's like a year from now, then I get trained to be a CPR instructor as part of the training to become a respiratory therapist. So today I learned how to do CPR. That was like first half of the orientation was all about our classes, and then like the second half was all like, and this is a CPR class. And this was all in the same day. I have done like an infant CPR class before that was provided to me by the hospital before I took my son home who had complex medical issues. And so taking the CPR class was definitely a bit triggering for my trauma. I took an opportunity during a 5-minute break to actually like step outside, and like I went through some of my therapy techniques to process trauma. I was definitely crying and pacing and but I was like taking myself through the imagery of like, and this happened and that happened and he's okay now. And I needed that because looking at those infant CPR mannequins and, you know, practicing CPR on an infant mannequin, you know, the last time I was doing that, my son was still in the hospital and his future was very unclear. So I had to kind of reconnect some dots there to remind myself that we're all safe and everything's okay now. We actually had a huge positive step towards his recovery process today that I'm really excited about. Hang on, that's my baby girl really wanting me. Here's my happy baby girl. That's you. I was just talking about your brother. Okay, I'm gonna be totally distracted now. So, I did my techniques. I came in and I was able to get through it. So, I'm really kind of proud of myself for that. CPR, okay, I'm just gonna tell you up front, it is a lot of effort, a lot more than I expected. Just doing it on mannequins, like for like the short bursts that we were doing, I was getting exhausted. Yeah, that. You know, so it's just and counting out loud as you're doing CPR, is actually a really significant part of it. I didn't know that, before. And so counting while you're like thrusting with like all of your like body weight, counting to 30 while you're doing that is just exhausting. I was out of breath. And I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I'm used to walking a lot of steps. You know, I'll walk like 8 to 10 miles, like on a regular work shift for me. So, and this is like with like scrubbing toilets and like doing lots of things with my arms. So I thought I was in good shape, but that, and then like even just like holding a mask against an airway, I didn't know it would like take so much hand strength. So I didn't realize like you have to be like using all this hand strength. They were taught like a C and an E. So you have a C with your hands with these fingers and an E with these. And so it's like you're holding down and you're pulling back at the same time to hold the mask firmly against the face, but also to keep the airways open by tilting the head back. Just the hand strength to do that, my hand was cramping up. I didn't realize that you have to hold that while somebody else is doing chest compressions, because you don't want to lose that seal, that open airway. And that's one reason why you trade off. It was exhausting. And what I really took away from it though is that I'm really hoping that there's some open lab times where I can just come in and practice on mannequins to my heart's content. I kind of feel like it's like a workout where I want to develop the muscle to be able to do that, and have it be a little more automatic. I don't want to have to be thinking about my fatigue when someone's life is on the line. And so that was one of my big takeaways. Another one, which I don't know, maybe this is kind of weird, you know how like you will do in the moment what you have practiced. And maybe this is weird. I don't know. You tell me if this is weird. But I was asking questions like, "Hey, in the example video that they showed us, the person kind of conveniently it was a male person who had a button down shirt. So I mean, you can rip that open pretty quickly because they say you need a bare chest to do CPR on. And I remember reading a while back, maybe I can find the study now, I don't know, it was a long time ago, that women experiencing cardiac arrest, like in a public setting, like not in a medical setting, were a lot less likely to receive CPR because people become squeamish or afraid of revealing a woman's chest, versus with a man, they are less concerned about that. Good Samaritans are less worried about that. And so I was asking questions like, so like if you're wearing a shirt like me with no like buttons or anything, would it be better to like pull the shirt down to do CPR? Would it be better to pull the shirt up to do CPR? How easy is it to rip the shirt? And I don't know, people kind of found my questions kind of strange. But I mean, this is important because when I'm doing CPR on someone, they probably aren't going to start out naked. And so you're going to resort to your training. And if your training doesn't involve removing clothing, then I mean, like, it just seems logical to me to know how to do that. And so my classmates and I were actually discussing, like, it might even make sense to, like, buy some just clothes from Goodwill, just some shirts from some sort of, secondhand thing, shirts you don't like anymore, whatever, and put them on the mannequin and have that be part of the practice. Get a feel for, like, how easy is it to rip this or that. Maybe it's just an anxiety of mine. I don't know. Maybe I'm just alone in this, but honestly, what pops into my head is some stories that I've heard about, yes, sweet girl. She's being really adorable. She's bringing me things. Thank you, honey. But stories that I've heard about, like, like cops practicing, like, at home. I know cops are, like, a really hot button issue right now, but try to set that aside because it's just as an illustration of, like, you are what you practice. So a cop practicing, like, with his wife, for example, of, like, practicing disarming technique, and then right afterwards he gives the gun back to his wife. And then, like, in a real world scenario, apparently, so the story goes, he disarmed someone, and then just out of habit, because he always did that in practice, he gave the gun back to his wife. Or in that scenario, it was actually gave the gun back to his perpetrator, which was not the thing you want to do in that circumstance. So that really just drilled into my head about how, you are what you train. You will behave in the way that you train. And so, like, I was kind of making an effort to try to make it more realistic. So then they're like, okay, like, yes, oh, thank you, honey. Thank you so much. Yeah. So when they were like, the second responder, goes off to call 911 and see if there's an AED around, for, defibrillation. And so if I'm the second responder, then I'm, like, off in the distance being like, yes, our emergency is at, such and such a location. Yeah, the person is unresponsive. We need an ambulance. I'm trying to make it kind of realistic a little bit. Didn't seem like anyone else was doing that. I don't know. I felt kind of self-conscious, but I was trying not to. For the infant one, we didn't have a defibrillator. And so when I was acting like responder number 2, I would, like, come back to the scene and I'd be like, okay, ambulance is on their way. I couldn't find an AED. I don't know. I was trying to make it a little bit realistic, and I don't know, people kind of thought that was kind of strange. But I just feel like the more realistic it is as you practice, the better you're going to be in that scenario. So I don't know if, I'm so sorry, I have a cold. It's really bad timing. I wore a mask all day. It was a whole thing. I was just like, this is terrible timing, but that's okay. We got through it. So yeah, I found it really, really fascinating. I asked like enough questions for the entire class, I'm pretty sure. I don't know, it's just my learning style. I hope I didn't annoy anyone, but oh, we also, okay, so this is important. We also had our first graded quiz during orientation week before classes start. So that's what I mean by like people being like, "Oh, when does school start for you?" They what they mean was with when does school start for you is like when do you actually start doing school stuff. So considering that I had a graded quiz that's like part of my grade for the quarter, a full week before classes even starts, it feels kind of strange to tell people that like, oh, I haven't started classes yet. It's like, no, I've been going to all day mandatory thing that has a quiz that's part of my grade, but haven't started yet. Anyway, I find that weird. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to criticize any of the faculty there. They're great. But it was a surprise to me, and so that's why I'm sharing it because like I want to give people the heads up in the future. So my instructors seem really amazing. And I don't know my classmates very well yet, but everyone's been friendly and it's been interesting. Mainly the exhaustion was the big thing that surprised me, and that's why they recommend to swap out about every 2 minutes if you can. I asked a lot of questions that just whatever popped into my head. Honestly, I'm just like I'm here to learn. So I asked things like, do you do deeper compressions on someone who's obese? What if they're morbidly obese? Does anything change with that? And they're like, well, it might change how you do the Heimlich maneuver. And if someone's pregnant, that changes how you do the Heimlich maneuver. For chest compressions, you might need to apply more pressure. So it's not that you want to do them deeper into the chest. You're still aiming for that 2 inches, but you might need to apply more pressure to get there. So things like that is very very helpful to me to just like prevent my brain from freezing up in the moment of like, oh no, is this am I doing the correct thing for this specific scenario? If I've asked about that scenario in class and if I've received information about it, then I can be confident when I'm actually performing CPR. So actually, one of my instructors mentioned that never feel obligated if you don't have a mask. Never feel obligated to do mouth to mouth, even if the person needs it. She was like, for herself personally, there's only a few people that she would ever do that for, and they all live in her house. That's what she said. And that got me thinking. She said, so anyone in public, she said, if someone collapses in front of me in public, they're getting chest compressions only. So one question I asked was, if you're doing chest compressions only, are you still doing the count to 30 or the count to 15 in some scenarios? Are you still doing the count to that, and then are you like stopping for briefly when there would be the breaths, or are you just going nonstop? And she said, nope, you're just going nonstop. And that's why you really hope that someone relieves you. That's why you really hope that someone can trade off with you. You're just doing those chest compressions nonstop. Let me tell you, counting to 30 and doing those chest compressions, I was out of breath. And I'm like, I'm not in bad shape. Like, this is kicking my butt, and this is embarrassing. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to work on that. That's, like, on my to-do list. So I want to improve. Here's my little, like, to-do list just for CPR. I want to improve my muscle with that so I get fatigued less with CPR. And I want to get some cheap clothes and just practice ripping them off mannequins as part of, or just to open the chest area as part of the CPR training, just for myself personally. It didn't occur to me in the moment, but I'm also going to ask them about female anatomy mannequins, because I feel like that would better prepare me for doing CPR. And we didn't have any of those in class. We had baby mannequins. We had like the adult torso male adult torso, and we had both the babies and the adults had various skin color variations. That was good to see. So, white, black, various shades of like light brown skin, darker brown skin, like the whole gamut. So that was very nice to see for variation, demographic representation. But we're in a medical program. We should not be squeamish about these things. I feel like I would be better prepared if there was a mannequin with breasts and I was like, okay, here's where we do the chest compressions. Here's the logistics of placing the pads, on the AED pads on the mannequin. I just feel like it would help me personally. The more scenarios you have in your head, the better I think that I can practice as a practitioner. So yeah, that's I think that's all I have for now. I'm exhausted. It was a long day, but I did it, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited to have this cohort of classmates and instructors to go through the next couple of years with. So thanks for coming along with me on this journey. I hope you enjoy it as much as I'm going to. I say that slightly sarcastically because I know it's going to be really hard sometimes, but it's going to be good. So hang with me. Bye for now.